to have those kingdom conversations.
Thank you, and welcome to Kingdom Conversations with Dr. Shirley and Leandra, where each week, through the grace of God, we hope to inspire women to thrive in their purpose-driven lives through lessons learned and a whole lot of wisdom.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Kingdom Conversations. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And I am Leandra Williams, and we are here today. I am so excited for this episode. I'm so excited to be here. You guys have been amazing week after week, tuning in, making sure that you're sharpening those pencils. And I know that Shirley and I today, we have some great conversation for you.
Yes.
Shirley has actually, conversation. All right. So we are here today to talk about marriage and how
Kingdom marriages.
Kingdom marriages. Hashtag that. Kingdom marriages. Hashtag God conversations. Godversations. This is all coming to us. We know that this is an important conversation to be having. One, because marriage is so important in today's role, in today's life. And a lot of you are, going through your everyday with marriage. And I know it's not easy. So we're here to tell you that we definitely have some insight. We have some input, whether or not you want to take it or leave it, some nuggets, we have some fruit for you. And I think it's time to eat. So Shirley, I am just saying, now Shirley has, just to give you some background, Shirley, how long have you been married?
No. Oh my gosh, marriage. What they don't tell you. Let me tell you something. They're like, marriage is hard. I'm going to need you to be more specific, okay? I'm going to tell you, marriage is like, do I hire a hitman today or tomorrow? And how can I hide marriage? And I'm telling you, the way my marriage is, it's not like everyone else. And of course, it shouldn't be. But I tell you, what God has joined together, no man can put asunder. That's the only reason why we've survived our marriage. Because both my husband and I, we can joke. And I'm like, I want to divorce you. I wanted to leave you too. Oh, really? Oh my gosh. Was that around the same time? Like, we really could not stand each other.
Were we actually in sync during that moment? We actually agreed. Like, oh, weird.
I thought bad things, okay? They don't tell you.
Yeah, how many years have you been married, Shirley?
We are going on 17 years. We were married on the holiest, I feel it was the holiest day, 777 people, okay? The number of completion, the number mentioned the most in the Bible. I mean, it was just so divinely created. I was like, yes, of course. God gave me my spouse. We're marrying on 777. This marriage is going to be perfect. They don't tell you.
Then the work comes in.
This marriage is far from perfect.
Then the work comes in. Weird. That must have been the fine print after the marriage, after the wedding, after all this glitz and glam, the ring,
the tiniest print in another language. Okay.
They didn't talk about that. People leave it out, right?
Oh,
everybody's ready for the wedding. Not everybody's ready for the marriage. And
you got a gold star.
That needs to be in bold, okay? If you are ready to get married, it's not about this glitz and glam wedding. Yes, it's beautiful. That was the most beautiful day. If I could go back to one day in my entire life, it would most certainly be my wedding.
Really?
Our wedding. But yes, I promise you, it would totally be my
We African. Oof, that place was packed.
Really? It was beautiful, but I've been with Shirley's been married for 17 years.
Yeah.
I've been with my husband for 17 years, but not married 17 years. We've only been married, I think we're going on year 7, I believe.
Ah!
Yes.
You're catching up.
I'm kicking up to you, girl. I'm never going to get caught up, though, because you're going to be married forever. So how can I even get caught up? I can't get caught up. So I'm just tracking behind you like this.
Oh my gosh. I just look back at the fact that we were babies. Like, I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, we were in diapers, breastfeeding, thinking we grown, getting married. And I say this all the time. We had no business getting married. We didn't do the reflection. We had zero breakthroughs at that time. We were trying to find ourselves. But again, what God has joined together, no man can put us under. God said, you getting married. I'm like, okay, all right, well, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
And that's literally, it's not even blind luck. Like, it's just God's hand. This is who you're supposed to be with. You're going to work it out. I'm here in the background. Y'all are ignoring me half the time.
Yeah.
But I'm here in the background. Feel free to tag me in when you want, and I'll make sure the marriage goes smooth. So I'll tell you this, and I hope I can tell it real quick, because I know you got to tell your version of your marriage.
No, go. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this.
So apparently, oh my gosh, I could tell this for an hour. If I go back, I wasn't a part of this, but apparently my husband had seen me at a youth festival at our church. And, you know, back in Worcester, but I'm pretty sure this is all over. Like, right, when you're with a small church, musicians are just helping out wherever they go. So they can just like skip and, you know, help during praise and worship. So he wasn't a member of our church. He was just helping out. And apparently he saw me at this youth festival and he was like, yeah, that looks like a good woman. Let me ask about her. And, you know, he made up his mind, I'm going to marry this woman, right? He made up his mind before, the next woman I'm with, I'm going to be married to. And he actually dated two women after he said that out loud, and they weren't it. He met me. He didn't even meet me. He saw me and asked about me and made up his mind, I'm going to marry that woman. So now here he is working up the nerve to talk to me. I find this out later, which is such a beautiful thing. He's working up the nerve to talk to me. He's taking too long. So God must have just put it in me. And I walked up to him. We were at church practice. I was new to the church. I just got saved. So I graduated from college May 2005. I was 21, got saved August 2005, and met my husband January 2006. I'm 22. And I just went up to him and I was like, hey, sir. Nice to meet you. I want to sing a song tomorrow. Can you play for me? Because he was behind a keyboard. So, of course, trumpets are going off in his head, but he playing it cool. I don't even know this man has declared me as his wife in the spirit. Can you imagine? I don't even know this. I just see somebody playing the keyboard. I want to sing a song to glorify God, and that's it. So he's like, can I have your number? I'm like, yes, are you kidding me? Here's my number, my mom's number, my fax, everything. I'm like, you're helping me out. Right? Like, you're helping me out. So of course, here's all my contact information. And then he had asked me out on a date. So he played the song for me. He asked me out on a date. I'm like, I'm 22. I don't really have time to be messing with boys who are not ready to get married. Again, I'm Miss Independent. I don't know how to submit. I don't know what it looks like for a man figure household. I don't even know what that looks like. Right? Oh, sorry. Backtrack. The day that I met my husband is the day that the prophet told me, by this time next year, you'll be married. I was like, this is a false prophet.
That was a big backtrack, because I think you should have said that first. But go ahead. We're following along.
Our story is so big. So I didn't want to go out on a date because I was just like, I didn't think men are ready to be settled at this age. Again, 22. But we ended up having a conversation, and he told me about all the crusades he had been on. And I'm like, oh my God, because, right, I got the Holy Spirit fire in me, right? I just got saved. I'm so hungry for Jesus. Yes, talk to me about God. And that's what we did. And honestly, by our third conversation, he told me I was going to be his wife. And I was like, that prophet said the same thing. I'll keep you around. I don't know if you're the one, right? Well, we'll figure this out. So my husband and I literally courted. Like, it wasn't even dating. There was just this underlying force that said we are to be married. Like we're 22, but we just felt so grown in this spirit. Not that we were, Holy Ghost praying in tongues type spirit, but just that we're supposed to be married. That this is supposed to be it. So we're courting until he proposes 3 months later after meeting. And I remember just saying, I'll say yes now. I can always call off the engagement. No problem. I can always call it off. And throughout that process of planning the wedding, actually our original wedding date was set for July 14th. And then I remember we had planned everything, the flowers, the hotel, the cake, everything. The last thing I had to plan was the video. So again, back in the day, we didn't have Google at that time. I was Yahooing, and I Yahooed videographers. And I called this guy. I was like, yes, I need a videographer for my wedding. And he was like, well, when's your wedding date? I was like, July 14th. He's like, oh, thank God, because the previous week is booked completely. And I'm like, well, what's the previous week? 7/7/7. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to get married on 7/7/7. Mind you, the hilarious part is I had a conversation with my fiance at the time, and I was like, honey, don't you think we're a little too young to get married? Like, don't you think we should postpone our wedding? And he was like, I am not here for boyfriend and girlfriend business. I am here for marriage business. I was like, well, okay, well, go ahead then. All right. And it's so funny. I was the one who wanted to postpone our wedding, but yeah, I'm the one who moved up the date.
No. You were the one who wanted to get with a man who was ready to get married, and then when it was time to get married, you didn't know if you wanted to get married. That's really what I just heard. But okay, carry on. I love it.
He was just so convicted, and I was just a baby.
Yeah, that's good.
It had nothing to do with him. He was a great guy. He really showed out. He was very responsible. Again, we thought he was older. We were like, my whole family and I, us being the Nigerians we are, we like, this one, huh? He wants papers. I can see it. We were like, does he need a visa or something?
Oh, no.
He already had his own papers. He didn't need me. But we were just like, how can someone so young want to get married? Mind you, he just moved to the country, moved from Africa to the United States at age 20. And 2 years later, he's ready to get married. And I just thought, I know nothing what it's like to interact with a man. I don't know. I'm going to blow this. Like, I'm going to ruin this before it even starts, right? So we get married, 7/7/07. In the beginning, I can tell you, I did not allow this man to love me. I tried to push him every way which possible. I wanted to disrespect him. I wanted to cuss him out. I wanted to tell him how he came from his poppy. Like I gave him a run for his money. I really did. I was loud, disrespectful, all of that. I secretly didn't know I was doing that. I mean, like, I kind of did, but that's because I didn't love myself, so I wouldn't allow anyone else to love me, and I wanted to push and push and push and push.
Right.
Well, he stayed, but in order to protect himself, he kind of just cut off communication as well. So here we are, just living our marriage, and I really just thought we were living as roommates, right? Like, cooking, cleaning, let's have some babies. We were just really roommates. We didn't know how to mesh together because he also comes from a broken home. I mean, talk about the blind leading the blind, Lily. I mean, shoot.
Yeah, no, I know.
We're getting married as babies. We haven't healed from our trauma. We didn't even know we experienced trauma. That's the truth. We just thought some bad things happened, and Africans and along with other families just kind of sweep things under the rug. They don't deal with things. We don't want to mention the elephant in the room. Like, when I tell you the blind leading the blind, Lord have mercy. We had no business getting married, but that's what God wanted. And we listened and we obeyed. And he was with our marriage. He was in our marriage the entire time. As you're getting older, now we're having our second child. I'm thinking like, okay, like, all right, I'm gonna submit a little. I don't know. I'm not there. I haven't fully read the Bible yet.
A real little that's not really going to show enough, but I know that I'm making progress.
I'm making progress, and you need to be okay with it. All right. I'm changing for you. I changed like That tiny. I
Oh,
changed
man.
that tiny.
We are
And it's
some
probably
stubborn
the
women
children that
sometimes.
changed me. Anywho, I still could not allow this man to be the man. So talk about alpha male. I mean, my husband is alpha. Listen, like he is. I still call him my Martha Stewart. He still cooks. He still cleans. He still decorates. He is amazing. But my husband is the
Yeah, he
alpha-ist
is.
of the alpha males. Okay, that man went through a war. People, he saw dead bodies, got shot at. My husband is. Whoo, he is the alpha male, and here I am, alpha female. Lord, listen. That's why God says you cannot serve two gods. Okay,
Can we
there
get a
cannot
prayer
be.
over this household? Can we get a prayer over this household?
Listen, thank God that was the old house back in Massachusetts.
We are reborn here in Florida, she said.
Lord,
We're reborn.
right? I got washed in that water. All the Florida
That's right.
the bodies of
That's
water,
right.
I got washed.
But
So-
you want to know what,
Listen.
Shirley? I think that you guys having a God-set foundation is what
Yes.
saved you all these years.
Absolutely.
Because if you are not building on a God-set foundation, you can forget it because, and I'm not, I am just speaking from experience that you need to build on that. Because you can build all this stuff around it, your house, your career, your this, your status, your that, your ego. Let one bad storm come through. Let one bad storm come through and your entire little sandcastle that you just built up is gone. It's
And
gone.
let me tell you something. The
And
enemy can make it look like the most terriblest
It's
storm
so
on the
awful.
planet. Just magnify. He did this and he said that. Ooh.
Oh yeah. Well, the enemy is craving for you to fail at marriage. The enemy
Yes.
wants you to be alone.
It's
The
shown
enemy
in the
wants
divorce
you-
rates.
That's
And it's
exactly.
also shown in the fact
It's
that people
so
don't even
true.
want to get married anymore.
I know. That is a whole nother conversation because let me tell you what, that it's like they're trying to take away from the value of marriage. And I think that comes into terms with just everything with a bunch of things. We can't even go there because that's Jesus.
That is a whole-
Anyway,
Let me write that
So-
down. That's another episode.
that's a whole nother episode. But the building the God foundation and building your marriage on top of that, I feel like has been detrimental and so incredibly powerful and necessary, and your survival kit. Like if you want a blueprint, that's where you need to start. You need to start with that because the enemy is literally going to work on both of you.
Yes.
And as you're saying, like you were roommates, so to speak, but you were functioning with each other. You were still living with each other. You're still having kids. You're still raising the family, but the enemy is in his ear and the enemy is in your ear. And you guys aren't like, how are we meeting in the middle, boo? How are we becoming one? How are we getting to the next level? How are we getting there? And that's why it's so hard when people say marriage is hard. Yeah, guess what? Everybody's choosing their hard. Everybody. You can stay together, it's hard. You can get divorced. That's going to be hard too. So you have to choose your hard. And I love watching you and Big Pete. Like, I love your marriage. I think it's flourishing. I think you guys are still in the process of learning each other, which is so interesting after 17 years. So if you are not ready to be in 17 years and feel like you're still learning something new,
how long am I going to be miserable for, God? I mean, what? We hit 10 years. What? What was that? Something 7. Remember it was it's something about marriages. It's like, it's the 7-year itch or something like that or whatever. Think it's supposed to go downhill, but no. 17 years later, it's still hard, and we didn't even get it together until the 13th year. Okay. The 13th year. And you said something so important, right? That God foundation, because God, I say it all the time, he sprinkles this magical fairy dust, and whatever you were feeling, whatever animosity you were feeling towards your husband, like, I'm about to wait until we get home. Whatever animosity you were feeling, it goes away. It goes away, and you're just like, hi, honey. Or he does something nice for you, or I do something nice for him. I cook him his favorite meal because God laid it on my heart. I didn't know he was mad at me. That's another thing. We don't even know. We don't even know we're mad at each other. We can't stand each other. We're thinking like, oh, the marriage is flourishing. No, your partner is miserable. You don't even know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there is just so much to this marriage thing. I thought it was going to be one episode. Clearly, it's going to be 2 episodes because I've only told my story. I've only told my story. We've got to still hear from Miss Lily because
so layered.
Everyone has different walks of life, but I can tell you now, my husband and I, thank God, we never gave up. Again, we had already made the promise to ourselves. Like, we're not just throwing divorce like that. Like, we'll say it. I'm going to leave you. I can't stand you. We're going to say it, but we will never make that move without God. And that was a promise to ourselves. Right. So there was just some things that are tattooed with us, no matter how we feel in the moment, no matter how disrespected, upset we feel. There is that declaration, like, we are not leaving unless God says so. And God said we ain't leaving. And that's another thing too. Like, God just puts us together. He's just not allowing us to leave. So we've got to figure it out. And again, we may not know what that looks like. Not even may. We didn't know what that looks like. We both came from broken homes. We hope that the marriage will be nice and beautiful and we enjoy it, but we don't even know what that looks like, nor the steps to take it. And that's why we had to surrender and depend on God. But that's just part one,
Isn't there something to be said, though, for somebody who does not, you know, even when that's why I say love is a choice. That I say that all the time. And for years, my sisters would go back and forth with me. My husband would go back and forth with me. And I'm like, no, love is a choice. Love is not a feeling. They're like, but you can feel the love. You can feel. And I'm like, yeah, that is more, you know, that is a part of it too. But when you are, oh, I can't stand you. Oh, I don't like you right now. But you are choosing to stay with that person. That's love. When things don't look good, that's love. When things are hard and you are still there, giving it your all every single day, and you're showing up and you're there for that person, that is love. That's what love really is. And it is so many, it's unconditional, lovingly. It's like you're put in this place with this person and it just feels good to know that somebody's not quitting on you and that you're going to be there with that person. And I told Romeo the other day, I said, we're doing life for life. So thank you for that. It's just like, we in this life for life, okay? So I think your story is beautiful. There's so much more to be said to it.
I can't wait to hear your story. So that's what's happening, y'all. Stay tuned for next week's episode because we are going to hear Miss Lily's story and how we've all come together and we are flourishing in our marriages.
Yes.
Thank you again.
You all so much.
We love you all. Wishing you love, prosperity, long life. See you next week.
Bye, y'all. See you later.